morning, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, John Kraft, Managing Director of the new Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Orchestra. Yay, John, so glad to see you.
Good evening.
They'll be performing at the Prytania Theatre this week, accompanying a silent movie. So much fun, looking forward to it. Poppy Tooker, host of the weekly program Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hey, Peg.
Also making his Steppin Out debut, Stephen Maitland-Lewis, a British attorney, you'll notice in just a moment, and a former international investment banker, but these days a novelist, and a very prolific novelist, and a relatively new New Orleanian. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Me.
Hi. And Alan Smason, our theater critic, editor of the online Crescent City Jewish News, and it's great to see you. Hello.
Thank you. Good to be
here.
here.
Now it's time. Everything old is new again, huh?
Well, you know, last week you said, Poppy, new restaurants, huh? Well, we're going to start off with something that's very old, that's very new, and that's the Fountain Lounge at the Roosevelt Hotel. This was sort of the last jewel in the crown that needed polishing, because when they reopened, they had a Sazerac restaurant there, and it just never really worked. And so they have restored this gorgeous landmark to its former 1938 glory and then some. You walk in, and the first thing that's going to really grab you is that the bar itself, the whole surface, it looks like alabaster or something, and it's lighted from underneath. It simply glows. And the chef there, because it's all about the food, of course, is Justin Ferguson, who I first became his great fan when he created that opening menu at Superior Seafood on St. Charles.
Oh, sure.
So that's where his food is fabulous, and they're serving continuously every day from 6:30 in the morning until midnight. Fantastic. Great wines by the glass. There's their skillet shrimp. They also have an exquisite raw bar that's featuring the finest seafood from everywhere in the world. There's a seared tuna. Look how beautiful. Hanger steak. You don't have to eat seafood there. And seared Gulf fish. And there's great cocktails. It is just another fantastic reason to visit our beloved New Orleans landmark, the Roosevelt Hotel. So put it on your schedule for Christmas light viewing. It's something to do. And then Laurel Street Bakery, which of course has been around for many years on Laurel Street, has just opened up a second location. And they are on South Broad Street, just off of Washington Avenue. This is a big expansion for them, because you can find all the yummy baked goods that we love so much from the original Laurel Street Bakery, but this new location is big. Look at the tables that go all the way down this long hallway with a lot of seating, and they're serving their beautifully crafted baked goods. Look at that. That's a solid chocolate cup filled with some sort of yumminess, and they're doing beautiful breakfasts and lunches now every day, 7 days a week, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m.
Poppy, we should point out, when we're talking about Broad and Napoleon, which is this burgeoning area of newly renovated buildings.
But this is really at Washington. It's not at Napoleon.
Okay.
It's
as you're entering.
Yeah, it's where the big pump station is.
Okay, sure.
So it's part of
I just wanted a landmark.
Well, you know what? This is part of the new Broadmoor redevelopment.
Yes.
That has been in the works for all these years. And so another member of the redevelopment new scene is, you know, normally we don't like to talk so much about franchises or chains, but this is an innovative new franchise that is just out of Salem, Massachusetts. I think we are either the second or third location in the country to open up 3 Potato 4. And it's like the Martians have landed in Broadmoor. And it's in that same complex as Laurel Street Bakery, and it's owned by Johann Strauss, who is founder of the Veggie Fest. And the focus here is on roasted potatoes served like fries. You can have russet in wedges, waffle-cut sweet potatoes, and diced red skin potatoes, all roasted, the red skins, with rosemary and garlic. Now, this place is all about small footprint, totally green. Everything comes served in biodegradable bamboo cones. And that's what the holes in the counter are about.
Wow.
Because that's how you eat your potatoes at 3 Potato 4. Everything is compostable or recyclable. And here's a whole new twist. The water's free, and it's reverse osmosis water. Very small footprint. We've got a picture of the manager, Zach Campbell, and when there he's taking some of the potatoes out of the roaster. They have free salts and seasonings that are really unusual things like ghost pepper salt, and then they have sauces too that are all house-made. They serve soups also, and they're over there serving continuously every day from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's kind of like one of my dream places to go because everybody will tell you I'm a cheap date at the steakhouse. All I really want is the baked potato and the bone. So you can't get that in a vegan restaurant, but anyway, this is someplace to check out. Then, two quick news flashes from the Freret Street food scene. Humble Bakery, going to be opening for breakfast and lunch right next door to the old Freret Vet, very near Cure. You're going to get authentic kettle-boiled bagels made right there in-house, coming in November. And then Mint Modern Vietnamese Bistro and Bar, coming in December. Ooh. This is the corner of Freret and Soniat, just across Soniat from Dat Dog. And they're going to distinguish themselves by being a Vietnamese restaurant with a bar where you can linger. It's not about eat your pho and run. So they want you to come and stay and get to know them.
All right, thank you very much, Poppy. And we turn to Stephen. Now, Stephen, your newest novel is Ambition. And who are you inspired by? It looks like you have a lot of fun with financial thrillers. Did you have any favorite authors as you were deciding to do this?
Over the years, I've had different favorites at different times. I go back 30 years. Howard Robbins was high on the list, and Herman Wouk. Today, I think the writer that appeals to me the most is a genius, and that's Philip Roth. And if he doesn't get a Nobel Prize, something is wrong in the state of Denmark.
Well, I love the covers. Obviously, this concerns Wall Street and women. And tell us about the book, and we'll show the covers of your most previous books, too. Tell us about Ambition.
Ambition, actually, the core plot of Ambition is based upon a true series of events that took place in the New York office of a California bank, where employees really fleeced the bank, and the head office turned a blind eye. That is based on an absolute true story. The rest, the sex, the drugs.
That's what creative writing is all about.
Some of it was based upon personal memory, but
we don't know whose, right?
But the core plot is a true story.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun with this. This is something you've been doing now for how many years?
When I left investment banking, I moved in New York. I moved to California, and over the last 10, 12 years, I've been writing full-time.
Well, one of the things that I am so excited by is that we also share a mutual love of jazz, and including being a fan of Louis Armstrong, but you have a far better and closer connection. Tell us about that.
It is very strange and very wonderful and very important to me. When I was a young child in London, maybe 10, 11 years old, I wrote Louis a fan letter, a very childish fan letter, and never expected to get a response. And about 4 weeks later, I received a response, and it was a 4-page letter in his own personal handwriting, which he mailed to me from Amsterdam. He was on a European tour. And I was amazed, and I wrote to thank him for his letter, and then he wrote to thank me for thanking him, and I wrote back, and this pen-pal exchange lasted until the day he died. And when he came to visit the UK on tours, he invited me to meet with him and his wife, and we became friendly. And a few years ago, I joined the board of the Louis Armstrong Museum in New York. And I went one day, and the director of the museum said, "Stephen, we're going to leave you in the conference room for a while. There's a file on the conference room table. You may want to take a look at it." I didn't know what he was referring to, and he left the room. And I opened the file, and I get very emotional. Of course, I had saved all Louis' letters to me. But in this file were many of the letters that I had written to him, which he had saved, including the condolence letter that his wife saved when after Louis died. It was very, very emotional for me.
And you're trying to continue to support and save that house up in Queens, isn't it?
Oh, the house is now a museum. It's it's a beautiful house. It's an interesting house in as much as it's been beautifully preserved. And the house itself is not the sort of house you would expect a person of his celebrity virtuoso status to have lived in. It's, you know, it's an ordinary house in an ordinary street, but it's been kept just as it was when they lived there. And across the road from the house, we're building a visitor center which will house the archives, which are currently at Queen's College, and they are the largest archives of any individual jazz musician, 6,000 square feet of archives. Wow. He saved everything.
Look forward to that. And you have a website for more information about your books that we're going to go to, and it's Maitland-Lewis.com.
Exactly. Thank you.
And we're delighted that you're with us. And the books are available at all fine local bookstores and online.
Each and every fine local bookstore.
Absolutely. Also, though, I am always thrilled when I hear about folks who choose to live here and decide to make a home here. And so you're enjoying the city, I trust.
This city is wonderful. I've been in love with it since I first came as a teenager. When my father came over to lecture at Tulane, and he brought me with him after a lot of nagging and screaming, and I love it, just love this city.
Well, welcome, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much.
And we turn to Mr. Kraft. Well, first of all, I was remembering that at least it was, I thought 30 years ago when you all had your 30th anniversary, but I've been since corrected. It's over 40 years now in running the new Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Orchestra.
The orchestra started in 1972.
Wow. And for someone who's never heard, and God forbid, of the new Leviathan, we're talking about music that is a little bit of, what would it be, pre-jazz, the early part of the 20th century? How would you describe it for somebody who hasn't heard it?
Well, the early part of what we do would be called pre-jazz. So we play songs dating back as early as the 1890s, but as late as the early part of 1934. So a lot of the stuff that we do, particularly stuff from New Orleans, predates jazz. Then later on we get more into the mainstream and play things that you might even consider jazz. Although we are an orchestra, we're not a band. We have a string section, and we play more lush arrangements of the jazz pieces from the 20s and the 30s.
How many pieces in the orchestra?
18.
Wow. We're talking orchestra here, too.
Orchestra, yes.
Now, Thursday night, and we're going to have a little bit of a trailer thanks to one of the members, Peggy Scott. You all are actually doing, and you've got it in your hands.
I've got the script.
The original score, this is really something, the original score to a silent film, Beau Geste, and you will be accompanying this film at the Prytania on Thursday. But let's take a look at this trailer.
Please.
Let's take a look. Thursday night at the Prytania, which is a great venue. And your conductor is David.
That's David Bode, the guy with all the red hair.
And I think we have a picture of David and a more formal portrait of the new Leviathan that we'll show in just a bit. But it's great to see them out. And I wish you all were able to do more public concerts. I know Mother's Day you're usually at Cabrini Park. Mother's Day we're at Cabrini Park. We've played the Jazz Fest for nobody knows for sure how many years, at least 38. And anything else that comes along with that. We are a very large organization, so it has to be. There's David. Although that picture's in black and white. Now you see him at the top there, the top of the screen, with all the red hair. His red hair is like a burning match from across the room.
The Carrot Top of conductors.
Yes.
He gives Carrot Top. He's much more animated than Carrot Top. He really is. He has brought out the best in us. We are working harder, getting this music ready. We've been putting this together now for about 2 years to get ready to do it. Right. What happened was at one of our rehearsals, David and another one of our younger members, BJ Blue, started looking through the files. We have George Schmidt sometimes says 25,000 arrangements. I think it's more like 10,000. Wow. But we have several movie scores, including Beau Geste. A number of years ago, you were talking about 40 years ago, well, in 1973, the New Leviathan presented the movie The White Rose, and this is the program from that concert back in 73. So we did this sort of self-revival. We were reviving ourselves. And they decided that we should do this movie, and we pulled it out, and we started working on it. We've got the complete score for it. All the parts were there. We didn't have to put anything together. All we needed were musicians. And so we did recruit some double reed players. We have a bassoon player and an oboist playing with us. Added a viola. We don't usually have a viola player. So when we take the stage and the floor at the Prytania Theatre, because it's a small space, there'll be 27 people in the orchestra. Wow, and we have a full screen with all the information. You can go to the Prytania website for more information. Where are you going to put everybody? Well, some of us are going to be on the stage, and some of us are going to be on the floor. We're going to figure that out Tuesday morning. We're going to have a tech rehearsal over there and see where it's going to go. What a treat, though, too. Now, and we hope everybody gets to the concert. But if you can't, you all have a CD that's available called New Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Favorites. And how is this available? At Louisiana Music Factory. Louisiana Music Factory. Okay. And if you're addicted to the internet, that's LouisianaMusicFactory.com. Okay, well, sir. Well, thank you very much. Glad to see you. And we love the way you're very Natalie dressed here, too. Almost Natalie dressed. Okay. Thank you. And we turn to Alan.
And I remember there was a store on St. Charles that used to sell New Leviathan, too.
That's right, Smith's Records. Any relation to that?
We won't go there.
All right, all right.
Well, I just want everybody to know that the Grand Dame of Theater in New Orleans, the Sanger Theater, has opened her arms to welcome the theater-going public in New Orleans, and its grand opening work is none other than the Book of Mormon. So, for those of you who don't know, this particular musical is offensive, heretical, and some would say blasphemous. I want to think I should warn everybody again. I do so at the risk of being a little bit repetitive. This musical will offend not only Mormons, but Jews, Christians, women, men, children, and I think some interplanetary visitors, perhaps. It is going to mark a little bit of a problem for some people, but I have to tell you, it's one of the funniest musicals you'll ever see. If you can get over the kind of dark satire that Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Robert Lopez have created. Yeah, these are the same guys, or at least Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who created with South Park A Christmas Story about Mr. Hanky, an animated feces who sings and dances his way into your hearts. I can't make this stuff up, I'm telling you. So anybody who's seen South Park knows full well what to expect. But the critics, you know, who have been known to err sometimes, love this, including myself, okay? I just had a great time when I saw it in New York. This particular critic is not alone, and I am in part of the majority of people who believe that this is a great production. There are fantastic dance sequences in which the Mormon missionaries launch into high-stepping choreography, including We Are Africa and the wonderful Turn It Off. It's all a send-up of all organized religions. They're not just picking on the LDS Church. It deals with really how religion can spring forth from actual events and how making things up can impact the way in which religions are received. And the key here is to know in advance that you will be offended, but also to know that you'll have hours of fantastic singing and dancing and musical comedy, the likes of which you'll probably never see again. It's definitely not for the kids. And the cast, which is led by Mark Evans as Elder Kevin Price and Christopher O'Neill as Elder Arnold Cunningham, are tremendous, and so too is Samantha Marie Ware as the native Ugandan. She's the girl whose name changes constantly because they can never pronounce it. But for those of you who find the language a little bit coarse or the blasphemy a bit too much to take, don't fear, because the next musical in the series is the last year's Tony-nominated Ghost, written by Bruce Joel Rubin, and with music by Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics and Glenn Ballard, who's a well-known music producer. That's coming up. Also coming up, Possum Kingdom. The Cripple Creek Theater Company are going to have this at the St. Claude Truck Farm. And there's really one thing for sure I can tell you. The Cripple Creek Theater Company always comes up with some very inventive things. They always come up with these rather bizarre productions that they workshop, and they do these unique original works, okay? You may recall some of the things that they participated with the NOLA Project, for instance. They did Balm and Gilead, and with Southern Repertory, they did The Lily's Revenge. But they also did, through the artistic genius of their artistic director, Andrew Vaught, The Futures of Fantasyland Place, which is about the proposed end of the world, which doesn't take place, and red heifers, and I really can't go into all of it, but don't ask. I can tell you that this time it's Possum Kingdom, though, an original work penned by Vaught, along with other members of Cripple Creek. It's workshopped and developed by them. It promises to be a very interesting work. And again, the St. Claude Truck Farm is where it's going to be, but they're also going to move it over to another spot. I believe that's going to be November in the Bayou Playhouse in Lockport. So interesting proposition there. Now, speaking of art imitating life, sometimes it's the reverse. This weekend, it's the last weekend for the fantastic young person's production of 13, a musical about a young man about to perform or be part of his own bar mitzvah, played by, in this case, the fantastic Aaron Richard, who has just moved to town, and he's about to have this bar mitzvah. He wants this to be the top social event of the season for all of his young playmates, if you will. And this weekend, I will be unable to enjoy this particular production, unfortunately, even though it's the last weekend, because I'll be attending my own nephew Alexander's bar mitzvah. but you know, this is a great show for tweens, for teens, for parents. I do recommend it highly. And there's Aaron. You can see he's sort of in the direct center there in the second row. Great actor. And I know that this production, will perhaps produce some stars of tomorrow. You know, Richard's already established himself as one of the actors in the footsteps of David Bologna and others, other child actors like, Ricky Graham and Peggy Scott Laborde.
That was a while back.
Yes, it was.
Go right ahead.
Les Mis. We have seen Les Mis a few times, I think, in the last few years. It's coming back. The people at Tulane Summer Lyric, they do this every year. They dangle a little carrot out and say, here's what we're going to have every week for 3 weeks, and this is the first week. They tell us what's going to be on their slate for the year. And this first production, of course, is going to be Les Mis. Now, they just came off a fantastic production of it in Hammond and on the North Shore. If nothing else, I'm certain the Tulane Summer Lyric people will do a great job, but I was hoping to see something else like Mac and Mabel or Hello Dolly, something like Jerry Herman-esque, perhaps, because they do such a great job with the big musicals. Anyway, Les Mis is going to be coming. That's the first of 3, and we'll find out about the other ones. And then lastly, I have to announce that there was a cancellation of sorts. The word was sent out that the play that JPAS was going to do of Jekyll and Hyde, and this was a play in which the show had 7 different performers performing Mr. Hyde, has been canceled, at least temporarily. It's not the musical Jekyll and Hyde that starred Linda Eder on Broadway and was recently reprised on The Great White Way, but it's apparently been temporarily postponed, some sort of cancellation due to licensing or something.
Sorry to hear that. Thank you, Al. And now it's time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we're featuring the works of 2 artists. The first is Le Vent dans la Foi by French artist Francois Prytania. Having studied at École Bressart on Tours, he describes himself as a modern-day figurative painter with old-world education. He is represented locally by Martin Lawrence Gallery, and that's on Royal Street, where he'll be in attendance for a champagne reception opening tomorrow. That's tomorrow evening from 6 to 8. The second piece is Ansman Oaks, that's City Park, of course, by award-winning night photographer Frank Rell, who captured this scene in City Park. He's a native New Orleanian. He uses theatrical lighting to illuminate the landscapes of his subjects. His new collection, Nightshade, Exploring Natural Spaces, will be on view tomorrow evening from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Old Church at 1220 Felicity Street. And the event features 22 limited edition photographs, live music, food and craft cocktails. Go to frankrell.com for more information and to see more of his work. A reminder that you can check out Steppin Out's online calendar at wyes.org, including information on this Saturday's Mid-City Porch Crawl fundraiser. New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Keith Wilson told us where it was that they all axed for you. At the Audubon Zoo. And what group performed the most popular version of that song? The Meters. Now tonight's question. The original Roosevelt Hotel had a famous nationally known nightclub for many years. What was its name? Send your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. The hands are going up at the table here. Our prizes: a Louisiana Life magazine subscription, a gift certificate for tea at Vianne's Tea House, offering their culinary and gourmet tea experience for two, a copy of the book Statuesque New Orleans by Ashley Merlin. And tonight we have WYES staffer Steve Golombiewski. He is holding a kitchen towel with the message, "Walk for the Cure." We also have a matching t-shirt, and proceeds go to the Susan G. Komen Research Foundation. These items are from our friends at wearableVegetables.com. Now our picks. Poppy.
The Kushaw Festival, a homegrown heirloom hootenanny this Sunday at Longview Gardens from 1 till 4. I'll be there signing all 3 of my books. And next Thursday, stop by Midway Pizza for lunch, dinner, or takeout. Proceeds from that day go to Trinity Loaves and Fishes.
Stephen, that website once again.
www.maitlandlewis, all one word.com.
All right, great. Alan.
Just want to remind everybody, at the Mid-City Theatre this weekend only, Miss Gulch returns. That's going to be Bob Eads Jr. playing the part of Amira Gulch, who of course is the antagonist to Dorothy and Toto in The Wizard of Oz.
All right, and for more information about New Leviathan, you all have a Facebook page, don't you?
Right. You can look at us on Facebook, but don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
This will be the event of a lifetime.
All right, thank you. And my picks: the New Orleans Friends of Music present the Harlem Quartet at a free concert on Sunday at Dillard. And then the quartet will perform Monday night with an admission fee. Check out friendsofmusic.org. Vince Vance presents his Louisiana Legends Sunday at Rock and Bowl, including Ratty Skirvix, Trixie Minx, and the Rolling Elvi. And the Cole Brothers Circus is performing in the area, including Monday and Tuesday at the Homer Terrebonne Civic Center. Check out gotothecircus.com for details. And the nonprofit Rick Rack NOLA is seeking donations of old Halloween costumes for their program where they teach children to repurpose costumes and how to sew. You can drop off the costumes or even pieces of costumes at Southern Costumes Company. That's at the corner of Lafayette and O'Keefe tomorrow, or go to rickracknola.com for more drop-off information. Next week, book critic Susan Larson and author Christopher Rice. Thank you all very much, and thank you so much for watching. Good night.